There is also a limited supply of Japanese who want to work in an international environment, and that number is declining rapidly as less and less young people go overseas to study. We are currently in the midst of a real turning point regarding the internationalization of the younger generation. The young don't want to learn English and they don't want to live overseas because everything is so wonderful here in Japan and it is safe. Konnichiwa and welcome to the Leadership Japan series. I'm your host in Tokyo, Dr. Greg Story, President of Dale Carnegie Training Japan. And you, much more importantly, you are a student of leadership, highly motivated to be the best in your business field. Today's show is brought to you by our Dale Carnegie course. This course focuses on the 5 drivers of business success: confidence, communication, leadership, people skills, and stress management. This course in Japan is running at 98.3% average satisfaction rate over the last 5 years, so we know it works here. Host it in-house or send people to public programs. If you have a performance or people challenge in Japan, maybe we can help you. Contact me at greg.story, greg.story, S-T-O-R-Y, at dalecarnegie.com. Grab our free white papers, guidebooks, reports, training videos, blogs, newsletters, course information, plus much more at japan.dalecarnegie.com. Before we get going, today's handy Japanese phrase is itte rashai. Itte rashai. Itte rashai. Have a good day. This is what we say to someone who's leaving. Itte rashai. Have a good day. Itte rashai. Have a good day. This is episode number 159, and it's a little bit of a biggie today. The topic is a bit bigger than I could normally squeeze into the 10 minutes, so it'll be a little bit longer, but it's titled Running a Foreign Business in Japan. Running your own business is challenging anywhere, but Japan adds a bit of spice to the broth. According to official statistics, 70% of Japanese companies are unprofitable. Business seems pretty simple at one level: constantly seek to increase revenues and reduce or hold down costs. To increase revenues, you can find more customers, more repeated customers, and raise prices. Raising prices in Japan gets tough when you're in the churning wash of decades of deflation, and when there are always lots and lots of competitors. When the consumption tax was raised previously, the economy immediately plunged into recession, which indicates the price sensitivity of the populace. The Abe Cabinet blinked and gave up on the last scheduled increase out of fear of the consequences. The usual way of differentiating yourself and justifying higher prices is through the added value you provide. Naturally, there is a major sales and marketing effort required to get that value message out. Both options in Japan, however, come with high price tags. By the way, whenever we do training as part of a global arrangement, we always get pushback on the pricing in Japan, especially when the yen is converted to other currencies. Abenomics is not helping much at the moment with the rapid strengthening of the yen. Why overseas head office staff would imagine that pricing here should be the same as at home is a mystery, but that is often the expectation. The cost structures here in Tokyo for wages and rents are high relative to other countries, and the prices reflect that. Downtown Tokyo office space rents per square meter in a reasonable location will fall into the 9,000 to 14,000 yen range. That's roughly 90 US to 140 US per square meter. I refer these global partners back to their own local operations, wage and rent bills in Tokyo. I point out that these are nothing like what they are costing at home, so why expect global pricing to be uniform? In general, fixed costs as a percentage of revenue are high in Tokyo, and it is a struggle to get them down. Unlike other Western countries, where salespeople are prepared to work on a 100% commission basis, very few Japanese staff are attracted by that option. Again, this opportunity to move wage costs away from fixed to variable is less available here. This means there must be a base salary plus bonus or commission arrangement, and the base will be relatively high, especially if you're a foreign operation, as you need to attract potential employees. When we were a startup in 2007, we had to pay our sales staff close to double the norm to get them to work for us. By the way, add another 15% to your wages bill for all the various social insurance and pension costs. Of course, if you're a prestigious mega corporation encapsulated by a powerful brand, this attracting staff challenge may not be such an issue. If you are a small, medium enterprise, SME, then attracting people becomes more competitive. If your team needs to speak some reasonable level of English, then the wage bill goes up immediately. As an illustration, a competent English-speaking PA, personal assistant, in Tokyo would earn around 7 to 8 million yen. That's 70 to 80,000 US per annum. There is also a limited supply of Japanese who want to work in an international environment, and that number is declining rapidly as less and less young people go overseas to study. We are currently in the midst of a real turning point regarding the internationalization of the younger generation. The young don't want to learn English, and they don't want to live overseas because everything is so wonderful here in Japan, and it is safe. They are going to become almost impossible to hire for SMEs as we are simply outbid by bigger companies. Marketing Japan, especially in Tokyo, is a remorseless pit into which you have to throw lots of money. Print ads and content marketing driven advertorial are very expensive here, and the publishers have plenty of Japanese companies able and willing to pay, so trying to cut a deal is fraught. Television predominates with 15-second ads, so even if you can afford the big money involved, your appeal to buyers in that time is microscopic. Online banner ads are not inexpensive. Pay-per-click keyword search ads and Facebook ads are also not cheap and can burn through cash at an alarming rate. Facebook ads, promoted ads, you're talking $100 US per time. Few Japanese are using LinkedIn as yet, so it was mainly targeting a foreign audience at this point. PR is a viable option for brand awareness, but you get what you pay for. SMEs can rarely pony up the type of money required to get the PR agency's A team, so don't expect magic from the D team. Japanese websites are often the complete antithesis to the Zen-like Western approach. Garish colors and packed screen real estate are very common here. So what do? Go Zen or go garish? Do you have the cash to pay for a Japanese language copywriter, or do you do it internally and save money? Are your team members any good at it? Your SEO, search engine optimization, has to be fine-tuned to push yourself forward in the page rankings. And you need people who know what they are doing, as DIY, that is do-it-yourself, is cheaper but a lot harder. These resources may be in-house or on contract, but they still push up the wages bill. Networking in Japan is different to Western countries in that few Japanese go to these events all that willing to meet new people. Sound promising? The meeting charges are also expensive as well, between say 50 and 80 bucks US. So if your team are really getting out there, the cost can be significant for what is really a shotgun marketing effort. It sounds crazy, but the usual style is that someone you know introduces you to someone they know. This is acceptable, if quite limited in scope. Bounding up to complete strangers and introducing yourself is possible, but the reactions are often mild shock, blank stares, and some resistance. This negative response is applied to Japanese as well as foreign staff. Working the room hasn't quite made it here yet as a concept. Cold as opposed to warm approaches is also tricky. Sending a direct mail piece to someone unknown goes straight in the bin. Any email from an unknown entity similarly gets deleted unread. You can cold call here, but you really need to know the person's name. If you don't, you'll get blocked at the entry point. Promised that your message will get passed on and a return call offered if they're interested. You will never hear back from them. There is always the issue of it may work overseas, but it won't work here. If you bring global statistics, then there better be a Japanese component of the survey, or the whole thing is just dismissed as irrelevant. That means you have to pay to run the same survey here to show the significance of your findings for the Japanese market. This costs money. Testimonials from overseas companies, super brands or otherwise, are also invalid by definition. You need a local track record to be credible, and skepticism reigns without relief. Natural disasters, especially earthquakes, are a constant prospect, and all of us living in Tokyo know we are overdue for the big one. After the triple whammy of earthquake, tsunami, and nuclear core meltdown in Fukushima a few years ago, our training business ground to a halt with 4 months of no cash flow. Who wants to do training when you are having large numbers of major aftershocks every single day for months? We all know it is important, but it is at moments like these we really understand the importance of cash flow in a business. The good news is that you do get paid by clients. Also, Japanese companies prefer the devil they know, so if you supply value, then you can expect repeat business. Staff are hardworking and diligent. People are honest, neat, polite, and things work here. Also, there is a fantastic infrastructure. There are large numbers of foreign corporates with businesses here who are more open than a lot of domestic companies to your approach. There are English language magazines aimed at these expatriate leaders, which, because of the limited market, cost a fraction of the Japanese mainstream media. There are many foreign chambers of commerce, business associations, and study groups here, so there are many networking opportunities where you can actually work the room. The rule of law applies here, and legal disputes that have to go to court are few and far between. Like anywhere, there are criminal gangs, yakuza, extorting businesses, but they tend to leave foreigners alone and prefer exploiting the locals as it is a lot easier. Because of Japan's extremely strict immigration and refugee policies, there are very few ethnic or religious groups who are likely to cause Japan much trouble. The biggest non-Japanese ethnic group are Koreans. The majority were born here after the war, their grandparents being brought in during the war years as forced labor. There are some foreigners here illegally overstaying their visas, but they are keeping a very low profile because the Japanese government deports them once found. Japan is still the third largest economy in the world. The main leisure activities here really, for the majority of the populace, is to shop and eat. Many foreign companies have done well here, but they have found the formula for success, but few have done that rapidly. Long-term planning, patience, grit, and sustainability take on different dimensions here in Japan. Thank you for joining the Leadership Japan series. If you found the program useful, then help other students of leadership and share it around. As mentioned, if you have a performance or people challenge in Japan, then maybe we can help you. Contact me at greg.story, greg.story, STORY at dalecarnegie.com. Also remember to access your Dale Carnegie training, free reports, white papers, guidebooks, training videos, blogs, newsletters, course information, plus much more. Go to japan.dalecarnegie.com.